Hello, and welcome to Youth Connect on Trust TV. I am Fejiro David Osai, your host. On today's episode, we will be talking about the longevity in marriages. Numerous studies conclude that a healthy marriage protects your physical and mental health and increases your life expectancy. Joining me to interact on today's topic is Mrs. Paula Kelly.
Hello.
Mr. Chigozie Ezeogu and Mr. Feboke Lekadi. Thank you guys for joining me on the
Thank you
show.
for having us.
So, Mrs. Paula, what do you think is the secret to a healthy marriage?
Okay. I'll say the secret to a healthy marriage is all about understanding, commitment, trust, love. Because why I'll say love, trust, commitment, and understanding, it's if both couples are living together, that's without understanding, I think the marriage is not going to work. Without trust, it's not going to work. Without love, it's not going to work. So I think commitment, understanding, love, and trust, it's the reasons.
Okay, Mr. Lekadi, please can you tell us, what do you think is the secret to a good marriage, a healthy marriage?
Well, when you have to have a successful and healthy marriage, you need to have patience.
Okay.
And I'll add to what she said, you also need to have understanding. Effective communication is the foundation of a healthy relationship. And then that extends to a healthy marriage, because marriage is a relationship.
Sure.
And then, yeah, trust, very important, because where you don't have trust, there's a high chance you may not communicate well. And lastly, respect, mutual respect. Any marriage that lacks respect would leave a void. And in that void, you can avoid what could happen that would be bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chigozie, please can you tell me, what do you think are the hardest years in marriage?
For me, the hardest years in marriage, I would like to use myself as an example. In my marriage, I think the hardest years in my marriage were just the first 2 years, because I had my first daughter pretty early. 9 months after our marriage, she was already with us. So we just got into a marriage. She got pregnant. Her body is changing. A whole lot of things were at play. She didn't understand what was happening to her. I didn't understand. We had to wake up late, and sometimes late at night, my back, you start rubbing. There was quite a whole lot of things that we never expected. We're not used to. So they just started playing out immediately. And so that was, for me, that was the hardest time in the marriage.
First 2 years.
The first 2 years.
Mrs. Paula, sorry, what do you think?
Okay, to me, I'll say the hardest year in marriage, it's always the first year. Because it comes with so many challenges and tensions too. Because you can't compare couples that just met. I want to get married to you. They got into marriage with couple that have lived together for years. Couple that have lived together for years and engaging into marriage. Then they have understood themselves than couples that just met and they are going into marriage. So I'll say that first year, it's the hardest year with so many challenges and tensions.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's hard for couples that haven't lived with their partner before they got married.
Yes.
The first year, or
Yes.
generally it's just the first
No,
year.
couples that are hard, that are just meeting, or getting along, playing along into marriage, I'll say that's the first year for them. Challenging and tensions.
Mr. Lekadi, do you want to contribute anything to that question?
Yeah, the hardest years in marriage, I don't think there is any person can really, like he said, he started with taking himself for example. There isn't a blanket cover to say these are the hardest years. It depends on the relationship you are in, because you're two different people coming from two different backgrounds, living under the same roof. So what people do when they are building a relationship is that they build a bubble of safety, mental, physical, emotional safety, which can be breached at any point in time. So for some people, it could happen early, from his example. It could also happen early, like hers. For some, you could be living in a relationship filled with lies that you didn't know exist and you found out much later, like the issues of paternity frauds. You find out much later and that balloon burst, and then there's tension. So it's, for some people, it's turbulent. For some people, it's smooth. So there's no specific time you can call. It all depends on your journey as a couple in that relationship.
Okay.
So what you're saying is there is no specific year that you say, okay, this particular year is the hardest year in marriage. It's just, it might come at any time,
Some
late
people
or early.
start early and it is fun. It's just boom, 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 back to back. Enjoyment, then they don't have kids. And then tension starts going all the way. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, no child. The tension starts building. Family members start coming in, what's going on? Are you sure you're with the right woman?
So are you trying to say the tension comes, or the hardest years comes, like you said, when you start having kids, or
like I'm saying that it depends on the couple. It could come at any time. For me, there is no specific time you can pick and say, hey guys, be careful, though. You go for counseling, they will tell you the same thing. Be careful, though. The first years are the toughest times. The last years are the toughest. How do you determine the last years when you don't even know how long you last? You see people married for... Well, there was a time my dad called me up and told me he wants to be out of his marriage. And I looked at the old man at the time. I'm like, out of what? I'm a fully grown person out of the university. My father is sitting me down to say he doesn't want to get married again. And I'm laughing at when he talked, I said, oh God, just cool down. You're in this for life.
Okay, sorry. Can I say something? Couples, like, okay, let me use you and I for an example. We just met, and maybe you like me and you want to get married to me. We've really not understood ourselves. Then I agreed, okay, fine, let's go into it. But when we get married, it's kind of challenging to me simply because I have really not studied you. So that's why I said it's always the first year of marriage. Because I might be crying, oh, I miss single life. I would have not agreed to get married to this guy, blah, 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 blah.
Very fair.
Good.
Very fair. Fair enough to you, right?
Yeah.
For what you have said, very fair. But would you say the same thing about a relationship where people understand themselves and get married?
Yes.
So if they understand themselves and get married, will the first years be the most challenging? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
That is what I equally said. Yes, I said it. I said the first year of marriage, it's very challenging and tensions. Because why? Two couples that just came in, you can't compare them with couples that have lived for a long period of time before engaging into marriage.
Yeah, but like he also said, a lot of things that cause factors that cause bridges in marriage. There are a lot. For person A, it might be childlessness. For person B, might be why did you press the toothpaste from the middle? There are a whole lot of things that happen, So, but in marriages, my situation might not be his, the same way his might not be hers. So we're all different people, so we perceive things differently. I'm also sure that the tensions and the skirmishes we have will definitely be different.
What is consistent in any marriage is that there will be issues.
Sure.
When cannot be determined, it is determined by your experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is the secret to married longevity?
Are you asking me or them?
No, you, because you're the one that's like, I'm like, okay, you were saying that there's no consensus. I'm asking, what do you think is the secret to married longevity?
Just like your opening question. You see, effective communication is a tool. It is the most powerful substance in marriage. It is in effective communication you have your spirituality. It is there you find your understanding. It is there you find encouragement. It is there you find answers to attention. And it's also there you find your troubles too.
Okay.
So if you are in a relationship and you're not effectively communicating, you have a problem. Communication is a major tool to a successful marriage.
Okay.
To unity and understanding as one, right? When you understand yourself and you have a lot in common, because you have to build yourself. There's a reason why you are two imperfect people coming together. You have to come together, understand yourself, and build yourself. When you build yourself and you have understanding, you see a longer time together. But when you do not have understanding, you have the thing called conflict. You conflict in ideas, you conflict in decision making, and of course, conflict is always the reason for trouble.
Okay.
Right? So if you want it to last, those two things, hold them first. Every other thing can align behind. You know, money, wherever. But you need to have those two. Very important.
But most times, you know, people say, oh, I was tricked into getting married to him. I thought we had this, and getting married to him now, I'm finding out that it's built on all lies.
Lack of communication.
Lack of communication. And, you know,
Lack of
being
effective
open
communication.
from the beginning,
Matters a lot.
it's the highest point.
Just name it.
Yes.
Just be open.
Name it. From here, let them give their reasons. You will see where communication is tied
because
to it.
it's communication. Once you're communicating, you're asking the right questions at the right time. You're also answering, giving the right answers at the right time. So there's nothing hidden. There's no opaque spot in your marriage. Everything is just smooth. You know A is A, B is B. So at the end of it all, communication is very key, and then trust. Because if you don't trust, you start looking for loopholes. That's when you start snooping for things that are not there. Someone might sneeze and you're hearing a cough. You know, so if you're communicating and then there's this trust, once Mr. A says this is what happened, Mrs. B knows that this is what happened. My husband said this, my wife said this, and that's it.
That's trust.
Okay, Mrs. Paul, I'm going to ask you. He said communication, right?
Yes.
Okay, what if in a scenario whereby you got married to this person and it's built on all lies, like I said earlier?
Yeah.
What would you do in that situation, finding out that this person is not like actually the person that he claimed to be?
Oh,
What
she
would you
claimed.
do? Or she claimed? Like, what would you do in that kind of a situation?
To me, if I try to like amend him, like, okay, I'm inside. It's not what I got. That's what I'm saying right now. I'm inside and I'm inside. But if I see that this person is not really ready to change and ready to abide to me, I think I'll walk away. Yes, I'll walk away. Because I can't be a laughing stock to the public. Because maybe most of my friends, they were like, oh, this girl, you are eating life. Before you got into this marriage, this blah, 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 you know. But going into the marriage, girl, I'm not seeing anything. Okay, now I'm trying to package you now. You don't want to accept the fact, so I have to walk away.
You walk away.
I'll walk away.
Mr. Lakadi, you're smiling so much, like you want to say something.
I like everybody's perspective. There's really no wrong perspective. And like I said, the perspectives all come from personal experiences or experiences you've heard and seen.
Yeah, sure.
But this matter.
Terrible.
If it were a lie, right, like she mentioned, and the person involved has no remorse, is unapologetic, even in the face of the truth, and isn't shaking the ground.
I'm going to hold you guys on to that.
So-
We are going to go on a short break, and when we return, the show will continue. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Youth Connect coming to you from the studios of Trust TV here in the nation's capital. Mr. Lakadi, sorry.
That name has been murdered a lot.
Oh my God, I'm
But
so
it's
sorry.
surviving, so it's
Forgive
fine.
me.
We're making it up. Don't worry.
I
I'm with you on
apologize.
that.
I really
Lakadi.
apologize.
You guys,
Lakadi.
don't worry.
Okay, so why do you think marriages of this generation fail? I'm coming. You know, in this our generation, we have zero tolerance for nonsense. Back in the days, you find out that our parents, for example, they could endure more in marriage and they could stay more in marriage. During their time, there were no rates of divorce. Like now, the rate of divorce is alarming. So what do you think, in this our generation, why do you think marriages fail?
Okay, first thing I need to correct is that the stories about failure in marriages, the publicity about negativity in marriages is what has been amplified but the statistics don't show that figure. You have a larger population of people still in marriage compared to those who are separated and divorced. Statistics are available, and I've seen it. So, but in this generation, right, from what you said, truly, there is a build-up towards zero tolerance behavior, right? And that is caused by the way people absorb information today. Social media, the power of the internet. And you know this, you know what they say in the news, bad news sells.
Yeah.
So you have more media, more propaganda, more people selling this bad news, and people are buying into this impression and believing that, hey, this man did this. Imagine, look at this, all these celebrities, 1, 2, 3, this person is out. That person that just married, oh, they are off. So you're like, zero tolerance, you know, this is what it is. And then it is building up at the back of their mind. We should be looking at the next generation of marriages. I think that's where the real problem and crisis will be.
You said you were going to walk away if you found out your partner is posing to be who he's not, and then you found out and you're going to walk away. What about the vows? What about
she gave a condition, you know?
You know, like what about the verse that says a good woman builds her home? Why is it that you wouldn't try to, you know, make it work?
Okay. Like I told you, I said I'll try, but if I see that is not working, I'll walk away.
Yeah, she gave a condition.
Yeah,
she said that if this person is unapologetic
Oh,
that
okay.
I'll
and the
walk
person
away.
doesn't want to.
But do you think walking away is the only option?
I can't be in a marriage and start suffering simply because my man does not want to admit he's wrong. So I rather just move on, walk away.
You know,
Mr. Chiweze.
we are in an age of mental health. A lot of things are attributed to mental health and all that, and people don't really have endurance anymore
Yes.
to really stick things out. So as it is, our parents, you know, I think our grandmothers and grandfathers, the orientation they give to our parents is that you never leave a marriage. You always, whatever it is, you stick it out and all that.
Yeah.
And for us, we're lucky and unlucky to be exposed to a lot of internet, social media, and all. So sometimes people follow a celebrity or a celebrity or superstar, and whatever the person says becomes like the totality of everything. So you're judging this person's lifestyle, and people live very fake lives on social media.
Sure.
You see people now, you see people come out on social media, maybe on Twitter, you see this person's page is always fighting, maybe this person is always fighting men, no, don't give a man a chance, don't give a lady this. It's not necessarily feminism per se. You know, don't give a guy a chance, don't give a lady a chance, don't do this, don't never take this from that person. Meanwhile, that same person that is tweeting that is planning marriage on Saturday and telling you not to give a man any chance. And then all of a sudden, boom, the person is out there, I'm getting married. Some people will tell you, no, you must be celibate, don't look at any man, and boom, they fell pregnant.
We can call
So it's very funny. It's very funny how reality is different from virtual. A lot of people don't separate this fact. They don't know that virtual world is different from our reality.
So one should be concerned about their mental health first. Okay, before you fall into depression. Because I heard somebody saying that when you go into a wrong marriage, or when you go into a marriage with high expectations, you might end up falling into depression.
Yes.
Mental health, depression can come from anywhere. And something that's not necessarily a bad marriage, but a bad marriage can put you in a bad place. If you want to know this life, you can marry a wrong man or woman.
You know, I don't know if it's Plato or Socrates that said that you marry right, you're in heaven. Marry wrong, you're in hell. The reality is there. For me as a person, marriage, one of the things that marriage did for me or has done for me is that I know that my home is a fortress. I can face the world, and then there's a heavy burden on me. I know that once I walk into the door, she's there to calm me. So there's this peace that I'm sure I'm coming to meet. So that's why we really need you need to know what works for you.
Yes.
Marriage is not my time is my clock is running. No, your clock is not running. The reality is what you're going into. Are you sure you're going to make it work? Because relationships is two people, two imperfect people,
Yes.
promising themselves that they are coming to make something perfect.
Yeah, sure.
So they are giving it all their best, everything, whatever you do to make this thing work, you're giving it 100%. You're not waiting for 50-50. Hey, there's no 50-50 in marriage.
Unconditionally. Missed that one. The problem is so many people are in this conditionally. They were no, this step.
Mrs. Paula,
Yes.
do you think marriage is really complicated as people make it seem?
Yes, marriage is complicated because I'll say marriage is a school. Marriage is a up and down. Most times, marriage can be so sweet, loving, and beautiful, but at the same time, there's a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges, a lot. Marriage is toxic.
Marriage is toxic.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It is. There are a lot of sweet memories, beautiful,
Okay.
but, my dear, at the same time challenging.
Okay, so what you're saying is bittersweet,
Bittersweet.
but at the same time, it might come with a little bit of domestic violence by the side.
Yes.
Mr. Lakadi,
Yes, ma'am.
you're shaking your head.
No, like I said. Okay, but I just what it is.
Yeah.
Marriage. The institution called marriage is bliss.
It's bliss.
It's bliss, yes, but
Okay.
it is people that are complicated. The problem is not the marriage institution, it is the people.
Oh, marriage is complicated.
No,
though.
marriage isn't.
Okay.
There are basic things you need to know about marriage you need to do.
Okay.
Respect, but you come in with disrespect. How do you expect a positive outcome?
That's why it's complicated.
People are complicated. Marriage isn't. It's like a car. You want to drive a car. If you know how to drive, it won't be complicated. But when you're learning to drive that car, you are the person who needs to learn the principles that have been put in that car for that car to move perfectly for you. And until you learn it, the car will seem complicated to you. Once you've learned,
issues.
it's smooth,
Yeah.
right? So the institution of marriage isn't. People are complicated. I've seen people that are not, and the marriage is nice. I've seen marriages where the husband is gentle to the core, barely speaks a word, and the wife is angry about that.
What do you think couple need to do to make their marriages work? I mean, we've heard about all the toxicity and all. What do you think couple need to do right that can actually make their marriages work?
Okay, like he gave an example with the car. If you understand the dynamics of the car, the operation is very easy. Now, for a marriage, you're coming in with your years of experience from your parents' house. I'm coming in with my own years of experience from my parents' house and whatever peer pressure and life generally has taught me. Now, if I come in, you bring yours, we need to have a clear path and a clear understanding that this will not work. This, my husband does not like this. My wife does not like this. What do I do to please her more? What does she do to please me more? You know, we have to be looking out for the other party. Like I was trying to say earlier, there's no 50-50 in marriage. Marriage is not 100%.
Okay.
There's no, it can actually be 20-80 and work. It can be 90-10 and work. It's not 50-50. Now, let me give an example where I say it's not 50-50. I'm earning, and then I expect you to be paying something into the marriage. Have I thought about the time you're carrying my baby? Have you all, or you're earning and I'm not earning so much, and then you also expect me to be meeting up with you 50-50. For Christ's sake, you can do certain things without recourse to me. Why wait for me? I can do certain things without recourse to you. Why wait for you? So it's not like we're in a battle or we're fighting, we're trying to outdo each other. We're supposed to be it's supposed to be synergy. So both of us come together and we make everything work. So it's not supposed to be complicated. It's not supposed to be difficult. It's not supposed to be hard. It's just me looking out for you and you looking out for me. And together we trust that, yeah, this is the end goal and we're heading there together. So it's not about now. It's not about then. It's not about this, but it's about what we're doing together. Are we rhyming? Are we in sync with what we're planning? This marriage, are we seeing it from the same perspective? Are we seeing the same goals? Are we seeing the same things we want to do? But if we're having, he has a different goal, she has a different goal, it won't align.
Paula, so what are your own opinions? What do you
Okay.
think can make a marriage work?
Okay, like what he said, respect, understanding, communication, and also time for each other, commitment. With that, I think
Can make a
marriage
marriage work?
works.
Stella Kadi,
Yes, ma'am.
what are your thoughts? What do you think can actually make a marriage work
I think
in our generation?
in this your generation.
I just want to hear your own opinion. I've heard theirs. I just want to know
in
your
this
own
generation,
opinion. Yes.
what can they do? Pay less attention to social media and pay more attention to the person you're
Nice.
with.
Good.
Okay.
There's a reason why they say you should have courtship. Take it seriously. Ask the real questions. Don't just be there in the void of a relationship. Ask the real questions. I always used to say there are 5 things today's generation and generations of the past can learn, and every single one of us need to learn. Before you go into marriage, certain skills you must earn, and you must be deliberate about it, even if you have to go to school or do a short course about it. First of all, you can't be, I'm married to you, I'm your wife, give me all the money, I'll look after the money, but you're a big time spender. Or you don't know no knowledge about investments. So you must equip yourself with financial knowledge, financial bookkeeping, just even if it's the surface, just have the knowledge. Equip yourself with conflict management skills, because conflicts will come. Equip yourself with effective communication. It's actually a skill. People don't know that when they talk nasty. People don't know that their orientation doesn't teach people to be polite. People don't know how to handle certain scenarios.
Sure.
You must have that skill in effective communication. You must check and know about mental health. Must. And then there's the last one I can't really remember right now, but that's what I usually advise them. 5 things you must have. Every other thing can fall in line. They'll tell you love, they'll tell you this. She said marriage is a school. It's an unending school.
Yeah.
It's a school where you learn and practicalize in the school.
Cool.
And then you unlearn again.
And you unlearn, you unpack.
And then you keep learning.
And the last thing is I always tell people, before you go into any marriage, lower your expectation to 0.
Yeah.
You know nothing. Because if you think you know, your expectation will be high, and every time something is done, you do what? You nag. You do this. You talk about it because you believe your condition is right.
I'm going to hold you onto that. Thank you very much, Mr. Lakadi. Thank you very much, Mr. Chigozie, for coming. Thank you, Mrs. Paula.
Thank you.
It was really nice having you guys here.
Thank you.
Well, join us again next time for a fresh package. I still remain your host, Fejiro David Osai. Bye for now.